Evans here. Today we're going to do the drawing, and you're going to end up making about two different drawings, just one from this video and one from the next, and they're going to be part of a test grade to kind of close out the entire project. So where we'll start is with the assembly that we made. We'll open it up here. And what I want is to make that kind of exploded view like we have over here with the first page, where it's kind of all pulled apart. I'm going to show you how to do that on Onshape. We don't have to actually even pull out all the parts to get the look that we want. So I'm going to come over here to the toolbar on the right, and I'm looking for exploded views. And we're just going to hit add exploded view. It's really simple to use it. All you do is click on a part, like let's say the linkage arm, and I click on an arrow and I drag it out. Now notice a little window comes up here on the left. It says exploded step 1, and I'm going to give it a number. It says negative 2.59. I'm going to pull it further out because I need to pull out the pins and the wheels and stuff like that. I think I'm just going to go with negative 3 and see how that looks. Okay, I'm going to hit the check mark on that, and then I'm going to click on the 2 pins. I'm going to click them both and then drag out. I want it to go beyond them, and I want that one to be out. Let me just put 5 for now. You can always go back and edit the distances that they come out. As you can see, the steps are here. Okay, I'm going to click off on the side so it's not touching the pins anymore, and then I'm going to grab the 2 wheels and drag those out. And I think negative 1.5 might look good. Might bring the other ones forward. You can kind of play around with the numbers yourself, how you want those to look. We'll do negative 3. And I think I'll pull this step, double click that, and I'll make that go out maybe 3.5. You're welcome to play with the numbers yourself as you want. I don't want them. What I don't want is from this angle for them to be kind of on top of each other. Let me do the cow catcher next. And you're going to go through and pull out each one of these, and I'll let you kind of do that on your own. So I'll fast forward this, and then you just keep up with pulling them out yourself. All right, I think I'm just going to pull out one set of wheels and its components. I'm not going to pull out the other side because I think you could assume that it is symmetrical. So I'm just going to click done here. And notice it all goes back away. It doesn't mean that you lost anything. If you come back and click here and click on explode 1, it reopens it. It's just kind of like a sub file within your entire assembly. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to make a BOM table, and that stands for Bill of Materials. It's going to list out every single material that's here. It already comes with some stuff. So notice that it says quantity, and if you hover over it, you can see what it's pointing at. So item number 1 is the train body. Item number 2 here, it says it's the wheels for me. If the items don't match you, that's okay. We're going to add some columns in, though. I want the material, I want the mass, and the name. And we could bring in a lot of stuff. And I'm just going to take it like that. To be honest, I don't want the part number, so I'm going to right click on that and say remove part number and remove description. So we've got materials listed, mass is listed. I'm going to move the name over a little more towards the front here. There we go. Now notice that all my names say part 1. And that's kind of weird, right? Because I know that we named all of these our own thing. And notice that it's been saying part 1 here the whole time. And I've been actually trying to figure out why it's doing that for quite a while. So if I go to Onshape, and let's say I open up one of my parts. I called this number 9 cowcatcher with all that stuff. That's the name of the file. Notice down here in parts, it says part 1. And let me kind of show you what's going on there. Let me quickly make a sketch of nothing. Well, actually, here, let me show you another one. I made these because a student had a problem with their loft, and it did this weird twist thing, and I figured out how to do it, and it looks really cool. So I tried out different lofts, and so look, I have 3 parts in here, but they're all inside of here. They all each have their name. I could name each one of them something. Like this one, I think looks like a lampshade. So I'd right click and say rename. So this is why all of our parts are showing up as like part 1, because there's only one part in every single one of the things we did. Now here's where the problem that even goes a little bit further, and some of you may have already run into this. So let's say I open up CalCatcher, and I say, okay, well, I want this to say not part 1. I'm going to right click and say rename, and I want to call this CalCatcher so that it knows that's the actual name of the part. Right? Seems fine. Then I go back to my assembly, and let me look at my bill of materials here. Notice that it all still says part 1. And there's actually a little button here that says refresh. See, update all, refresh latest versions. So what I've been looking up, I kind of been digging around with update issues with versions. Remember when we made this, we inserted and said, give us a version of like part 1. Let me show you. Remember we said, give us part 1. I don't. Maybe we needed to say part studio 1. I'm not sure. That maybe that's part of the problem. So what I have discovered how to fix this. So some of you have gone back and updated your parts, and then it doesn't update here, which I find very substandard for CAD software. Most softwares that I use don't act that way. So I'm not sure why Onshape hasn't been able to figure this out. But the way that we can work around it, so if you make some changes to your original part and they don't update, this is the way you change them so that they're updated here. So I'm going to select a part, and I want to edit in context. And it opens it up in context. And then I want to make sure that it understands that I want that renamed here. And as far as I know, that should do it. And then create versions and go to assembly. Now, eventually this button will show an update. Let me go and update a lot of them. Edit in context. I believe you can do the same to now reassign material types if you didn't do that. So I'm going to rename and call this linkage arm. And then create version and go to assembly. Now it takes a little bit of time, so it may not do this right away. It should be able to update all when I do that. So let's see if it worked. Yeah, see it says linkage arm. So unfortunately, you're going to have to do that. The only other way that I found a way to kind of quickly get around that is to add like a title 1. And we would move that over. So these are the two options that I'm giving you. You can come in and rename all the parts, or you can come in here and find out which part it's talking about, and you can type in the name of everything. So you figure out how you want to do that. If you want to come in and do the right click, parts one, right click, edit in context, and then rename. We call that train body. And then create version and go to assembly. I'll give you the option. I'm going to go and I'm going to change each one of them right now. I'll fast forward that real quick, and then I'll meet you back at the table. Or once you update everything, make sure to click this wheel and click the update all button so that all the names, and if you changed any materials, all of it can be updated. And sometimes it is a little bit slow on this update thing, and it might miss some of them. Update him. Let's back out. It might take some refreshing to cooperate. Unfortunately, let's see what it's missing. This is the best way that I found how to kind of fix things. Because once you create a version, I'm reading, it won't change that version. Um, so it looks like it's missing the axle screws and the smokestack. So we'll hit refresh on that later, and I'll fix that later. So I've got two that aren't showing up. I'm going to get rid of this title thing now, unless that's what you used. So we got quantity, material, and mass. Notice if you're missing material and mass, that's because you need to open it up just as I showed you, edit in context, and change that. Now the next thing we're going to do is to make a drawing. So we're going to come here to the plus sign and click create drawing. And we're going to go with what they give us. This one right here, ANSI, and hit OK. And we want it to bring in, I want it to bring in assembly 1, but I don't want the assembly. I want I do want the isometric, and I want the explosion 1, that one. So we'll let it load up. There we go. And I'm going to put it around this corner. You can play with the size very carefully, but we don't want it too small nor too big. I think uh, uh, one by 2 is good. I'm going to probably kind of connect it to this corner, I think, or maybe down here. You should be able to move it once you place it anyways. Now, I believe that you can go change it and then hit the update button. We can test that right now. Let's say I don't want the explosion 1. I want that to be a little bit lower. I'm going to put 2 on that one. And I think I want these all to be a little bit further out. So I'm going to put 5.5. I'm just testing it out to see how well it updates. The wheels are good. I'm going to make these 5 because I noticed it wasn't as far out as I wanted it to be. This one I'll make 4. I'm going to hit done and close that. And it should give me a refresh button, I hope. If not, I'm just trying to explore what it does do. We could also delete it and bring in another one and see if it does. Insert view. I think it moved. I had to refresh it. So I deleted it and brought it back in. I think that might be the fastest way to refresh it when you change something like that. I might bring the cow catcher in a little bit closer too because it's sticking out a bit. All right, so let me try to hurry this up. The next thing we want to bring is our table, our BOM table, bill of materials table. Flattened your structures. It's not going to make any difference on this one because we don't have sub-assemblies. Follow assembly, yes. Top bottom is fine. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to click it to this corner here. And as you can see, it's all listed out here. We still see part one and part one, so it's not updating. So I'll have to go and kind of edit that on my own. I'm going to squish this in a little bit because I don't want it. I don't want it touching the parts. So you might have to move things around. Like if I brought this cow catcher in a little bit closer, deleted the view and brought it back in, then it won't be so close here. So on this drawing, you're going to have your exploded assembly, your bill of materials table, and you're going to add these balloons, these callouts. And it's easy. You just click on a part and then click away from it. Click on a part, preferably on the edge of it. Part. Don't do a straight like up and down or straight left and right. It needs to come in at a diagonal or an angle. Notice that they all come with numbers. Now you just need to get each part. So I don't need to label this one twice. I don't need to label the wheel again. I'm just going to label each part once. And then hit the check mark. And then if you notice 7, 1, 6, 8, these all match these item numbers right here. And to close off this project, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to double click here and delete that little line and put miniature train project. And if you zoom in here, you can even see your name and the date that you made it on here. And then I'm going to delete this and put exploded view. There we go. And BOM table. To add those to it, add these few steps. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Once you're done, let me check off that you've got your balloons, your exploded view, your BOM table, and your titles right here. And join me for the next video where we will make one more drawing for test grade. Thank you. Bye.